Good evening and welcome back to the FGE cast. You've got your boys, you've got Alex, Yoni, Jesse, and Reggie. We do apologize for the delayed episode this week. We did have some personal things unfortunately come up over the past weekend, but we're back, we're ready to go. We still want to keep it weekly as best as possible. So thank you so much again for joining us. And for the three of you, how you guys going?
Yeah,
It's a hat trick.
generally good, although a little bit under the weather, but representing another jersey today. It's a nice little bun busting.
Bit better than me. I've decided to just go a whole different sport altogether, go on ice hockey. So
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm the only one making an effort.
hey, ice hockey is just football on ice. So and sticks. Yeah, they've got sticks.
No,
And
no, football and ice is Ben Cousins.
Yoni doesn't understand that.
Yanni doesn't. He doesn't need to know. Typical Sydney boy. But with that being said, we'll get into it because we want to try and keep this succinct but also comprehensive. Obviously, the last couple of weeks we've each had our own individual agendas that we wanted to discuss. But we figured, given that it's the end of the transfer window and there's been a couple of moves in particular that have generated this topic of discussion again amongst the footballing community, we wanted to focus this topic on, and this was presented to us by Jesse. So thank you so much, Jesse, for bringing it up to us. But
Good ideas.
we wanted to talk about, here's an ideas man, but we wanted to talk about chasing the bag, specifically in the light of what's happened with Ivan Toney having decided to go to Saudi Arabia and earn like 100 times more than what he's currently on. But yeah, I think Jesse, if you want to maybe sort of introduce it to us, given that it's your topic, tell us more about it.
So chasing the bag. Some people don't care about it. Some people absolutely hate it. I'm all for it. I think people should chase the money. That's what football is now, unfortunately.
Yep.
And Premier League started that, and yeah, essentially that's all on the EPL. They've started it, and they're the biggest critics of it too because they don't like that it's happening to them. You see a lot of comments online. You see it on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, in the group even. Someone joins a Saudi club. Not so much like retirees like Benzema or Ronaldo or something. People who are getting on and aren't as good as anymore. It's like the young players, So obviously Tony, who's still in his prime. Who's that Dutch player?
Bergwijn.
Yeah, Bergwijn.
Bergwijn joining it. Thank you everybody for the help there. Bergwijn, obviously you had that young Spanish midfielder last season who could have gone to a big Spanish club who instead went to Saudi.
Vega.
Vega, yeah. Pepe Vega.
Could not remember his name.
Sam Maximin as well. He's only like 26, I think.
Jota from Celtic. I mean, yeah, it's. I don't see a problem.
Ronaldo.
With it. No, he's retiring. I don't see a problem with it in my eyes. I think players should be entitled to chase the money. To us, it's a passion. We love it. We love the sport. We love everything about it. And yeah, we want the best players at our club. But to them, it is a job. It might be a side passion, but it's a job that lasts. If you're good enough, maybe 15 years. If you're not, I think the statistic is you, as a professional player, your career usually at the top level lasts about 8 seasons. So if you're not,
it is a very short career.
Yeah, and it's all well and
injuries as well.
Yeah, injuries. Yeah. It's all well and good too. Yeah. So I don't know. I the reason I bring up this topic is because obviously people get upset when talent goes away, and in my mind, people need to just fucking rein it in because it's a job at the end of the day. If someone offered me 40 times my current wage to go do what I do in Saudi, I'm gonna fucking say yes. I don't care about my own morals. Like 1 year doing that sets me up for my life. So
yeah. Plus, you don't have morals, but
I don't. So yeah.
Actually, I mean, in regards to this, I agree. Obviously, it is player dependent and all that kind of stuff. But Ivan Toney's situation specifically, he's 28. it's not like he's played Premier League the entire time. He's only played Premier League the last couple of years, which means that his salary prior to that was never really that big. Now, if he's in a situation where he can go and, 400 grand a week or whatever it is that he's earning, like, good on him. Like, people are saying, oh, you're already earning 10, 20, 30k a week. Like, you should be happy with that. If he only has that for the next 2 or 3 years, what is it like? What's that? So let's say he's earning 40 a week, right? That means 5 million, 3 years, 15 million. All right. So you're set up for the rest of your life with 15 million, but you can go somewhere like Saudi, get 25 million or 50, whatever the case is, in a year, and you're actually setting up yourself, your kids. You're setting, like, it's generational wealth.
With Tony, I think people forget, like, he's probably got half his mind wanting to recoup the money he lost from his suspension. Like, he was suspended,
and his gambling addiction.
Yeah, and his gambling. Like,
does he know he can't gamble in Saudi? Maybe he went there so he can't gamble.
VPN, but if he's looking after his
The
family,
internet there is probably worse than Alex's.
He's going to open up an expansion club in Vegas once he's done with Saudi.
Hey, he could. But yeah, he obviously has people to look after. I don't know to what extent. Like Yoni says, a lot of these players look after their families, like extended family, and sometimes that entourage is just massive. So he's probably got some sort of responsibility that he carries himself to look after these people, and he's going to recoup that money, but just by doing 1 or 2 years in Saudi.
100%. And if you look at, like, if we use Oscar as an example, because Oscar was like the first player who kind of, I wouldn't say first, but he was definitely
that's in his peak, I'd say.
Yeah, he left
It was
Chelsea.
not even peak. He was 20. He was like 23.
Yeah, he left Chelsea to go to China for big money, and he's been there ever since. And he's setting up generational wealth. But he came from, like, one of the poorest communities in Brazil. So he's not only looking after himself, he's taken his entire family out of that, set them up for life, setting up his kids, probably.
I think he admitted as such as well. Like, he basically said, which you kind of got to admire the honesty. He said something like, I went for the money because I'm setting up my kids.
He said he's never going to get recognized as the best, but he may as well get paid like he is.
100%. And if you look at, like, his idol's probably Ronaldinho, who went bankrupt.
Who?
I think
Ronaldinho.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just wanted him to repeat it.
Shut up. Ronaldo?
Next time just say R10.
But he probably looks at him as an idol, and he went bankrupt. He was one of the best players in the world, arguably one of the best players of all time, and bankrupt. I think the statistic by some UK studies, like 44% of professional footballers who play in the UK will go bankrupt after retirement.
Like, I'd be curious to see that in the future, because I feel like that's a big thing that kept on happening in the past, because obviously they also didn't get paid the levels they do now. I'd be keen to see 20 years from now.
They probably as well weren't smarter with, like, investing and sort of, like, like compounding their money and all that sort of thing. So it's probably a bit different now, but yeah, even still, it's even like it's probably like Paul Gascoigne as well. I think he's had his issues with finances and things like that. There's a number of players. I think as well. I think Wes Brown mentioned something about having no money. I think Craig Bellamy had an issue with money too, and they're more recent.
Yeah, and there's only so many jobs for them football related that you can do after retirement. Like, there's only so many manager positions, so many commentator positions, so many fucking assistant manager positions. Like, there's not enough.
Good enough.
Jobs.
We'll be getting some of them on the podcast.
Yeah. All right. What connections do you have, mate?
Juan Mata is coming to Sydney. So
Ronaldinho.
I get Douglas Costa.
He's on OnlyFans now, so we can't get him.
Mad. That's great. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and so I think I like, look, a lot of people hate on this, and look, you can hate on it all you want, but what Saudi is doing to the Premier League and to other countries in Europe, it has been what the Premier League has done. And sorry, not just the Premier League, because I will include Bayern in this, Real Madrid, Juventus, Milan, all the
he's talking about Bayern, guys. He's actually criticizing Bayern. That's crazy.
I will include all of them in this. like, granted, they're the big clubs.
Mention PSG.
Yeah, PSG is another one. But like all of the Premier League clubs would be involved in this because even the promoter clubs, they can offer bigger wages than Leverkusen. Leverkusen, they've got their stars on some big wages, but like if you're an average player can go to Brighton, earn more money than they can for a champion side, a team that just won the championship in Germany and that's playing UCL football this season. Like to me, that's crazy, and that's what the Premier League has been doing, and the big clubs for years and years, and now everyone's getting their shit upset because Saudi's doing that to them now, and it's.
May I devil's advocate, because I'm just going to try and play devil's advocate just to sort of keep things going and try and look at things from both perspectives. But you are right that the Premier League especially has been a bullying, especially like over the last maybe 5-10 years with their TV rights deals and all that. But could someone maybe argue that the difference is the Premier League is bullying you and being able to attract more players because of the money, but it's also arguably the best league in the world. It's a top five league, got more eyes on it. So isn't it still better to play in the Premier League versus playing in Saudi Arabia, getting watched by no one, getting no attention? You know what I mean?
You can say that, but
you can say that.
Premier League, restarted in 91 or whatever, 1991, whatever the case is. Prior to that, I guess it would have been in a similar situation. Saudi's trying to establish what Premier League has done over the last 30 years. So they have to start somewhere.
Yeah, but you can say that too, Premier League's the best league in the world. But how can you justify Fulkrug going from Dortmund to West Ham?
He's 31.
Yeah, 31, earning more money.
Shit.
But he's earning more money at West Ham. But he's leaving a side that was just in the UCL final, who's also playing UCL football this year. What's West Ham playing this year? Not UCL.
Mate, a European champion.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's like I can understand, if you're going to a big club like United from Dortmund, that's a bit different. But West Ham, Dortmund's a bigger club. And so you got someone going
West
there
Ham has
only because he's getting more money.
European trophy recently.
Yeah, but it's a irrelevant trophy, mate. You would go on about it because United love those small trophies.
Trophies are trophies,
Oh,
mate.
Yeah, it goes in the history books.
All right, Audi Cup for Harry Kane.
Yeah, if they were so easy, Harry Kane would have plenty.
He should go and win the Saudi Cup. That would be his dream. But I get where you're coming from there, Jesse, as well, because if you get that kind of money, you look at Tony, he was on what I said was about 20k a week. Now he's on 400k a week. Plus, I think before Brentford, he was playing League One, League Two football in England. So to go from that to whatever the hell he's on now is pretty crazy. But, and again, I'm just going to be devil's advocate again. Obviously, we do understand that there's players chasing extra money, and you can't fault them for that. But what do you say then to people who would argue that the passion merchants, you should be playing for passion, you should be trying to play and build a legacy in a good club, not just try and chase money. You look at Oscar. It's you look at Oscar. Probably this example. You're 23. You're playing for Chelsea. Why don't you play for Chelsea and compete for Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues? You're still earning $100,000 a week. Is that not good enough for you?
Reggie, do you want to say the quote again for me? What was Oscar's quote?
He knows he's not going to be recognised as the best, but he may as well get paid like he is.
If you're 25, right,
and you got to remember, a lot of these players, from South American countries, they come from nothing, so they've probably got more than just football on their mind.
100%. And look, you might want your passion's there. Everyone's got passion, man. But life's life, man. Fortunately, the whole world's run by money, and you need money to survive. And the richer you are, the better your life can be. And ultimately, that's the difference between you having to live in a favela in Brazil versus living in a mansion in Miami.
I'm taking everyone.
If you're earning $100,000 a week playing in the Premier League, is that not enough to pull out your family out of favela? Do you need the $500,000 a week playing in Saudi and just kind of wasting your career? Is wasting your career worth it?
Well, it's not wasting your career though, because your career, if I mean, Yanni and Reggie are older, so they've got more of a career than I do. But like Yanni, if your career is going well, and then someone goes, "Hey, I'm going to give you 500 grand to fuck your career off, and come fucking paint a wall in Saudi Arabia all day, one wall all day, for 500 grand a week," would you take it? Yes, because your career is a career, and you got passion for what you do, but money's money, and that's how you survive life.
It's
The
the
other thing is, I
reason
will say,
people play the lotto. They want the big payday so they don't have to work. They don't have to worry about what their kids are going to do, and potentially not have to worry about their grandkids are going to have to do.
Yeah. Like, full respect to anybody who wants to follow their passion. Go for it, man. If you want to win a UCL and that's your dream, 100% go for it. I'm not saying fucking, no, give that up to go to Saudi, but not every person wants that. Not every person cares about winning a trophy, cementing their status, What was it? If Ronaldo really wanted to be, a legend for United, why did he go to Madrid? Because he's a legend for United, but he could have been the legend if he stayed there his entire career. He didn't. He went to Madrid, where he's, probably their best player ever, but still, when you talk about Real Madrid legends, you go, oh, Ronaldo, Zidane, you can list them off pretty quickly, and a big list. You talk about United legends, he'd be at the top, and then the next kind of ones would not be near his level, whereas Zidane, Ronaldo, they're pretty on par.
Zidane
is a great,
Zidane. Oh, man.
Zidane.
I just want to.
I will say as well, because okay.
Yeah, I just want to say about your point here, about being a legend in your club and things like that as well. He is Tony himself is a legend at Brentford. Like, he got them from Championship to the Premier League. He scored plenty of goals in the Premier League to keep them in for 2 years straight as well. So it's not like he hasn't achieved that. And now it's not like the Oscar situation where he's 23 and things like that. He's 28. He's done it. Like, what's Brentford really going to do more than now? And clearly we've seen that a bigger team didn't want to get him. So,
and he's not going to get called up for a World Cup or anything. That window's shut.
Yeah, I think because he was obviously linked to Chelsea and Arsenal, and then once that didn't happen,
they needed wingers apparently.
Why would you want to go to either of those two clubs anyway, Saudi or not?
No, Arsenal. I mean, I don't know. Just pretend they could win the league. But I think once either of those teams were out, to fair, Chelsea would give him just as much financial security with the kind of contracts they hand out. But I think once they weren't really an option for him because of whatever reason, I guess you can sort of see it from his perspective, like, well, am I going to stick around at Brentford where the bridge is kind of burnt, or am I going to say fuck it and earn half a mil a week in Saudi Arabia and just kick it and set myself up at 28? Like, he's the same age as me, and he's doing that. So good luck to him, which is a bit annoying. The one thing I'll say as well, because I know I've been devil's advocating it a bit, but with the passion merchants, is that it's easy for the fans, like, for us keyboard or TV watchers or whatever, to say, oh, no, I wouldn't do it. I'd stay passionate to United. I'd stay passionate to whatever club. But that's because we're not ever going to be in the position that they're going to be, and we get offered this kind of money, and you've got to make that decision. So it's easier for us to say, yeah, no, I'd stick with playing for United, or I'd stick with playing for Brentford. I'm happy to be in the Premier League. I can say that because I'm here, but I'm not the one making that decision. How do I know I won't be the same if I'm in their position at my age, in my 20s, to say, you know what, fuck the legacy, fuck the passion. I'm taking the cash. I'm going to Saudi Arabia. I don't know. I've never had to make that decision.
If we take Saudi Arabia out of the equation, right, we could look at Messi, right? Could have been a one club legend for Barcelona, right? Could have cut his salary. They were trying to save money. He could have cut his salary. He's earned all the money he needs in the world. He doesn't need more. Could have cut his salary.
I think he tried, but legally he couldn't cut his salary any further than he could. There's like in Spanish law, you can't earn. In Spanish law, you can't earn. Your next contract can't be more than 50% of less than 50% of what it previously was.
Okay, even in that regard though, so he could have
because his contract was renewing yearly at that point, and they had the financial issues and they couldn't re-sign him, which is why he was willing to take less. But then, yes, they couldn't do that.
Also, fucking stupid is the point.
But that's he could have also gone. He still could have gone down as a one club legend. He could have retired at that point. He's still in his 30s.
Never win the World Cup.
Great, perfect. Yes, it was rigged anyway.
Never finished 12th in the MLS.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Is he didn't have to go to PSG.
He didn't to MLS. That would have been way better.
Yeah.
Well,
But
the
he
thing
didn't
is
have
as
to
well,
do
like
PSG or
to piggyback off your point as well, Jesse. Like the reason why he was immediately linked to PSG is because they were the one club that would have paid him what he would have wanted, which was about 500 a week anyway.
That-
So
yeah.
That's
like,
a good club to bring up because before this, like PSG were the club where people went to grab the bag and people like, oh, why do you want to go play in France? They're like,
Yeah.
"Ah, not prestigious in a lot of people's eyes, and people going there getting paid are like you guys would remember how much Ander Herrera was getting offered like when he left, and that was ridiculous money.
Yeah.
Oh, and he wanted
But
to
then-
stay.
If you look at another
yeah, they
team
really want to
too-
give him the PSG money. And then there's also Cavani and Lavezzi left Napoli at the same time to PSG
Yep.
when they were linked with like far bigger clubs. Like PSG got a bit of
Neymar.
prestige.
But can
Neymar,
I-
yeah.
I think you guys are probably a bit young, but for me, PSG in the 90s was still a team that like I liked. Like when I was younger.
Ronaldinho.
And, pardon?
They had
Ronaldinho.
Ronaldinho.
Yeah. Like so for me, I liked them when I was younger, and but then obviously I stopped watching them. And then the attraction with PSG compared to Saudi, obviously, is you're going to Paris.
But if you look at because you can still build a legacy in those clubs. Thiago Silva. When you think of Thiago Silva, you think of PSG. That's he was the man for PSG for years. Obviously, he didn't stay there his entire career. It was other clubs, but Thiago Silva was PSG, and he built a legacy there. Couldn't do that at Milan. He's a good defender, one of the best defenders of his generation. He's never going to be the defender for Milan because
Maldini.
Sorry, that's sorry.
Or I see
Someone
a wild
across the screen.
a wild Oscars appeared.
Yeah. What a lost recording.
But Thiago Silva, he would never be the defender for Milan. He was never going to be the defender for Chelsea. Chelsea had other players who were just as good in their early 2000s and mid 2000s. But at PSG, best defender of their history, Thiago Silva. He's got that legacy there.
David Luiz.
Well, the thing is, I suppose PSG threw the bag of players in an attempt to try and boost their pedigree because they wanted to be on that Madrid level. Whereas I suppose Saudi, it's probably a little bit different because Saudi are looking at it as more of a project and try and grab as many players as we can to give our league a bit of attention because it's all part of the Saudi PIF anyways. It's all a kind of combined effort. Whereas PSG, it's just let's try and win everything by throwing all this money at these players and not win anything anyway, and then lose Mbappe for free because we're stupid. So it's
that would never be us.
But you couldn't. Shush. But you couldn't. You couldn't blame the players for going to PSG at the time because I suppose living in Paris, you still get to play in Europe, I guess, and it's a bit better. But I suppose PSG probably City were the first really to throw back the bag of play. Chelsea really want to go further back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to go further back, United were doing it first.
No, but there's a big difference because United was earning that money.
But that doesn't matter though because
No.
It's not about earning though.
No.
It's about.
Let me explain. Let me explain before you butt in.
All right.
So United was winning trophies in the early 90s before all that money came, and then they started. I know we got
Johnny,
Cantona
he's old.
for $1 million or
Johnny.
whatever.
Trust Johnny on this.
So
He's
was
old
Real
enough to
Madrid
remember.
and Barcelona.
Yeah, but
Barcelona have that money.
then,
That's a problem.
back then, we got the British fee of 1 million for Cantona, which was the most expensive one. But then after Cantona, it took forever. We got Schmeichel. It was like 300,000 or something like that. It was nothing money, but United was winning, hence people wanted to come, and hence we got the money, and we could buy really the bigger ones that we wanted to get. But think about it, did United break any records? 30 million for Rio, and then
And Rooney.
28 was Rooney or something like that.
He was a record for a
that was
teenager.
a record for a teenager. It's not quite the same. And then then Chelsea came and did the 50 million for Torres and all that kind of stuff. So,
But then people can argue back, and that's what I mentioned earlier. People can argue back and say, well, that's going to United, that's going to Chelsea, that's Premier League, they're big clubs, they're winning stuff. Whereas you're going to Saudi, what are you doing there? So, but again, like we said, yeah, it's Saudi's a bit of a shithole, like in terms of like from a footballing sense. But the money is very attractive. But I'll ask this of you guys because it's another thing that maybe people bring up with the Saudi argument is the moral and ethical side of things, because Saudi Arabia's human rights record is non-existent, to put it lightly. So, what do you say, especially Jordan Henderson, because he copped a lot of flack from the LGBT communities? Like what do you say to people who maybe argue it from that perspective?
If you're a public figure who, is out there supporting LGBT rights and all that, and I'm not saying they don't deserve rights, everyone deserves rights, but if you're out there saying that all the time, and then you go to a country where they don't allow it, that's stupid and that's on you, and where are your morals? Because you've just made a very clear statement that you've just sold them out for money. But look,
is that in reference to Jordan Henderson because he was known as an LGBT?
Yeah, but that's
what about
that's why it was an issue, because he was an ambassador and he fucked off to Saudi. But look, I don't want to. This is why people call this Saudi sport washing. But like, if you look at the 80s, when Yoni was born, and the 70s, let's throw some shade there. So 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2004, I think. That was when it was all decriminalized in most of the Western nations. So, it's only in America, it's only really been 20 years, I think, 21 years maybe, since every state had gay rights, like gay intercourse, whatever, was no longer a criminal act. So, like, Saudi is, it's a very strict country and they have very strong morals about that kind of stuff. But nations progress and they're slowly progressing. I mean, you look at some of the human rights stuff and it is still bad, but they're slowly getting better. And we can't, it was only 20 years ago or even in Australia, it was like 1990s or something. So it was only 30 years ago. So Yoni's age.
I wish I was 30.
Reggie's age, sorry. Like 30 years ago.
Reggie also wishes he was 30.
Whereas it's still illegal.
You're talking about core memories for Yoni and Reggie right now. These are core memories for them.
Yeah. They'll probably be around when it was legalized. But like, what I mean is, like, they're not even that old. Like, they're in their 30s. So in their lifetime, Australia's gone from having it as a criminal act to having gay marriage as legal. Like,
but then what about all the other stuff, like all the Sharia law, all the executions and the apostasy and like all that? Like the gay stuff is one thing, but then it's everything else with Saudi Arabia. Like,
okay, what about?
There's a lot. There's a lot with there.
Okay, so should we ban players from coming to Australia for the A-League? I mean, we still have high detention rates for Aboriginals. If you look at every country has issues. Even in England, London, there's areas of London where there's a lot of just poor areas, and those areas tend to be of colored people. There's more everyone can do, and if you just judge every country based on, certain aspects, then every country is going to look bad, and we should all fucking not play football anywhere. But Saudi Arabia's got a lot more bad stuff than other countries, but you can only help a country get better. So we'll get more Western, I guess. I don't really know that, but it's slow progress. So I don't know. If players, they don't care about that stuff. They're going for the money. If Saudi wants to waste their money buying these players and paying them ridiculous amounts, like, who cares? The rights aren't going to change whether the player's there or not. So.
And not everyone's going to keep the same morals when there's that much money like on the line for them. Like, it's like what I said earlier. Like I can't pretend that my morals would be. I like to think I'm a morally sound person, but again, I've never been offered $500,000 a week to play football. So
exactly.
How do I know how I'm going to react in that situation?
Speaking of punishments, what are your thoughts on how the Osimhen situation was handled? Because he was guilty of chasing the bag, and he has thrown his career, kind of derailed it a little bit. Nothing wrong with playing in Turkey for Galatasaray, but it is a massive stepped down from Napoli and Syria, and all because he tried to chase the bag.
Well, look, if you look at he wanted to move to Chelsea, but Chelsea has done the smart thing nowadays, where their contracts are no longer ridiculous amounts. So they were offering him a lot less than what he was earning at Napoli. So why would you move that? I don't think he ever really wanted to go to Saudi. I think a lot of people said that, but I'm pretty sure that was the club and his agent doing that, and he was just wanting to stay in Europe. But yeah, I mean that's on Napoli. Napoli, look, I don't think it was so much chasing the bag, more so he wanted to leave Napoli because Napoli had treated him like shit. I mean, they uploaded that video on TikTok making fun of him, and he cracked the shit about that. Like, you imagine your own club.
There was two things. There was two things this time. There was the coconut thing, there was a coconut thing I think from the club, and then I think a fan page did something. I think that was suggesting he was a monkey or something, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it was just classic Italian racism. I think like two things happened at the same time with regards to Osimhen, and that really burnt the bridge. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure you're 100% right, and that's why he wanted to leave. But you can only leave to the clubs that want you. And like, no, I don't think many clubs could afford him. And the clubs that could, like say United, spent their money elsewhere and went for Xerxes. It was a cheaper option.
Yeah.
Like it's there's strikers typically have been everyone's wanting one, but at the moment most big clubs are pretty set. And his season last season was pretty average. So,
are there any other players who are dealing with consequences, like probably not in the same vein, but like with Bergwijn signing for Saudi, Koeman's come out and said like he's not going to be a part of the Netherlands setup anymore, so that's pretty harsh consequence.
I mean, yeah, look, I think that's a bit ridiculous because he's still the same player. His quality is not going to drop because he's over there. It'll probably drop because he gets older, but
I'm trying to think who else is in that situation, because Kante like went to Saudi and then got back into the French team for the last Euros.
But he's the GOAT, so...
And then he performed really well too.
And he's just a nice guy.
Yeah. And Ronaldo's like in Saudi and still getting called up for shut your mouth. But he's still getting called up for Portugal. Benzema never really in the French team anyway, so that's its own can of worms. But I'm trying to think who else. I think Ruben Neves was still. Ruben Neves, I don't think he's really had consequences. Like, he went at a young age.
I don't know if we mentioned it, but he did cop it. Henderson.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we're talking about the gay stuff, yeah.
No, but like he got taken out of the
England
side.
Yeah.
Because he's trash.
Because
he's very. But then Southgate was lamenting not having a player like him in the team, which is a different story. But yeah, I think Ruben Neves went young to Saudi as well, like from Wolves to Saudi. But then I think he's still getting called up for the Portuguese team. So yeah, I think Bergwijn might be the first case where like a manager blatantly said like you fucked your international career.
It's weird though because he still calls up Wijnaldum. He still calls up Wijnaldum, who plays over in Saudi. So.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's just a case of he doesn't like the guy, and this is his excuse to go. Well, I don't need to put you in the squad anymore. Which is pretty on par with Koeman. He's a bit of a
nutcase.
Wanker. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a shit. He's not a good manager. Anyway, yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll leave it at that because we wanted to keep this one a bit of a brief episode. But yeah, like I said earlier, given what's happened with the transfer window, we did just want to zero in on the Saudi stuff and chasing the bag. So really good discussion. I think we've definitely learned a lot, and I think it's time that we have a bit of sympathy towards players in that position. Like I said, it's not really an easy decision to make, despite what we think.
It's also
again,
good
we can only look at it from our
touch on again, because I think one of our earlier episodes was regarding Saudi and their surgeons, really.
I think one thing I'll quickly just finish up on as well, to piggyback off the last episode that we did on Saudi, was we weren't sure whether or not it would continue, and it seems like it has. Like the Chinese Super League was like a one transfer window trend, where Saudi seems to
Here to
be
stay.
it's yeah, seems to be staying. So it seems to be something that we should be keeping an eye out going forward. So probably expect to see more of it in January, to be honest with you. But yeah, with that being said, yeah, it was great catching up on it. Great to catch up with you all. And great to catch up with the boys here. We'll see you again next week. We'll be aiming again for regular programming on Sunday. But otherwise, stay tuned, and
I've
we'll
got
see
a
you guys
funny
soon.
fact. No, I've got a
Oh,
funny
no.
fact first.
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no, the recording's ended. Oh no, sorry, Jesse.
No, I've got a
You can
funny.
tell us anyway.
I've got
Okay,
a funny fact. The Norwegian anti-doping agency showed up at the national training camp the other day for some random drug testing. They selected 5 players to test. Obviously, one of them was Haaland. One of them was Antonio Nusa. One of them was Oscar Bob. Then there was Einar Gudjonsen and Jorgen Juve. Unfortunately for the Norwegian anti-doping agency, Oscar Bob is injured and is out for quite a long time. Einar Gudjonsen died in 1962 and Jorgen Juve died in 1983. So they just rocked.
That's a
all that
depressing
tells,
That was so
all that,
fun.
all that tells me, is that you have a weird idea of what we perceive as funny, and Oscar Bob being injured for an anti-doping test is just classic Man City shithousery. And on that note,
If
have a
that
great night,
was
guys.
Rio Ferdinand, that's 6 months.
I hate all of you.